Have you noticed this strange pattern? You meet someone new. They seem interesting at first. Then suddenly, something shuts off. You don't hate them. You're just done. And you don't know why. This isn't rudeness. It isn't arrogance. And it's not because people are boring. What you're experiencing is psychological disengagement. Your mind is protecting itself from something you rarely notice, but always feel. Most people think losing interest means you found their flaws. That's not true. You lose interest before flaws even matter. The real cause happens internally, silently, fast, and automatically. Your brain is constantly scanning for stimulation, not entertainment, meaning, depth, emotional signal, mental resonance. When it doesn't detect that, it pulls away. Small talk isn't neutral to you. It's draining. Repetitive questions feel like static noise. Your mind wants patterns, not scripts. Insight, not surface. So when conversations stay shallow, interest collapses. This makes you feel guilty. You wonder if something is wrong with you. Why can others bond so easily? Why do you disconnect so fast? The answer isn't coldness. It's over-awareness. You see too much, too early. You pick up microsignals, predict emotional arcs, sense where a person is heading mentally. And when the future looks predictable, your curiosity dies. Not because they're bad, but because your mind already moved on. Your brain hates redundancy. It wants growth or tension, learning or contrast. When someone repeats familiar thought patterns, uses common opinions, or avoids introspection, your interest quietly exits. This is why first impressions don't save people for you. Charisma fades fast. Looks lose power. Confidence becomes noise. If depth doesn't follow, your mind labels the interaction complete and disengages. You're not seeking perfection. You're seeking presence, emotional authenticity, a sense that someone is actually thinking, actually feeling, not performing, not recycling personalities. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people interact on autopilot. Scripts, roles, social masks. Your mind sees through that instantly and loses interest just as fast. This creates a strange loneliness. You're surrounded by people, yet rarely mentally connected. You don't crave more friends. You crave fewer, deeper connections. But those are rare, painfully rare. Your interest drops fastest when people avoid discomfort. Depth requires friction, honesty, vulnerability. When someone deflects serious topics, laughs things off, or stays safe, your mind checks out. You don't lose interest in people. You lose interest in performances, in predictable emotional loops, in conversations that go nowhere. Your brain is allergic to stagnation, so it detaches quickly. This pattern often forms early in life. You learn to self-stimulate mentally. Thinking became your refuge. Observation became your skill. So now, external stimulation must compete with your inner world. And most people can't. That's why being alone feels easier than being bored together. Silence doesn't drain you. Shallow engagement does. Your energy leaks during empty interactions, so your system shuts them down efficiently, without asking permission. You're not emotionally unavailable. You're emotionally selective. Your mind opens slowly, but closes quickly when it senses mismatch. This isn't fear of intimacy. It's intolerance for false connection. Another hidden factor, expectations. You unconsciously expect people to meet you mentally, to follow your pace, your depth. When they don't, disappointment sets in instantly, and interest dissolves. This makes dating especially difficult. Initial attraction sparks hope. Then conversation reveals limitations. You feel bad for pulling away, but forcing interest feels dishonest. So you leave quietly. Again, what looks like boredom is actually over-processing. Your brain is always 5 steps ahead. You're listening for subtext, not words. Meaning, not sound. When nothing new appears, your system disengages. Automatically. You may notice this pattern strongest with crowds. Group conversations exhaust you. Too many signals. Too little depth. Your mind can't anchor, so it retreats inward, where things make sense. This doesn't mean you're superior. It means your cognitive needs are different. Your mind craves complexity, nuance, self-awareness. When interactions lack that, interest has nothing to feed on. You're wired for signal, not noise. For essence, not volume. For truth, not comfort. Most social environments optimize for the opposite. So your disengagement is adaptive, not defective. Here's the danger though. If unchecked, this pattern can isolate you. You may reject people too quickly, before depth has time to unfold. Not everyone reveals themselves fast. Some depth is slow. Your challenge isn't finding interesting people. It's tolerating the warm-up phase, allowing silence, letting layers peel naturally, without rushing judgment, without expecting instant resonance. Interest doesn't always arrive as intensity. Sometimes it grows quietly, through shared moments, small honesty, subtle consistency. If you dismiss too early, you miss rare connections. Another reason interest fades: emotional self-sufficiency. You don't need others to regulate you. You process internally. This lowers dependency, which lowers attachment, which makes disengagement easier. People who need connection tolerate shallow bonds longer. You don't, so you exit faster. This can look cold from the outside, but internally, it's simply efficiency. You also sense incongruence quickly. When words don't match actions, when energy doesn't align with expression, that internal mismatch repels you, even if you can't explain it. So interest collapses without warning. Your intuition works faster than your logic. By the time you consciously lose interest, your nervous system already decided. You're just catching up. That's why it feels sudden and irreversible. You might wonder if you're broken. You're not, but you are mismatched with surface culture. Your mind wants truth density. Most environments offer emotional fast food, so you stop eating. This also explains why one deep conversation can revive interest instantly. Suddenly, you're engaged, alive, curious, because your mind finally found nourishment, not stimulation, but meaning. You don't want many people. You want real ones. People who reflect, question themselves, notice patterns, speak honestly. Those are rare. Until you find them, you'll keep losing interest quickly, not because something is wrong, but because your mind refuses to settle for comfort over truth, for noise over clarity. The key isn't forcing interest. It's managing expectations, allowing time, creating environments where depth can emerge, one-on-one settings, slower conversations. When you stop judging interest as good or bad, you gain control. You can choose patience or walk away consciously, instead of vanishing internally. Without understanding yourself, you're not detached, you're discerning. And discernment has a cost: loneliness, misunderstanding, but also rare, powerful connections. The people who hold your interest longest will feel different immediately. Not louder, not more impressive, just real, mentally present, unfiltered. When you meet them, interest won't fade quickly. It will deepen, slowly, quietly, and you'll realize you were never bored of people. You were bored of empty connection, of repetition, of masks, of predictable minds. Your system rejected what couldn't grow and protected what could. Understanding this changes everything. You stop blaming yourself. You stop forcing chemistry. You stop feeling guilty for disengaging, and start honoring your cognitive needs. You learn to wait, not withdraw, to observe, not escape, to allow people time, without betraying your instincts. Balance replaces avoidance. Depth doesn't announce itself loudly. It whispers, and only quiet minds hear it. If you slow down enough, you'll recognize who's worth staying for, and who isn't. You don't lose interest quickly. You detect mismatch early. That's a strength when used consciously, and a trap when left unchecked. The goal isn't to change your nature. It's to understand it, so you don't isolate yourself unnecessarily or settle out of fear. Clarity gives you choice. Most people fear being alone. You fear being mentally unseen. That difference explains everything. Your attraction patterns, your detachment, your restlessness in relationships. When someone finally meets you at depth, you won't question interest. It will feel obvious, natural, effortless, like recognition. Until then, losing interest is your mind's way of saying, not here, not yet, not real enough. And that's okay. The danger isn't losing interest. It's assuming that means you're incapable of connection. You're not. You're just calibrated differently, for fewer, deeper bonds. Another reason you lose interest fast is because most people never evolve past their surface personality. They repeat the same opinions, the same jokes, the same complaints. Your brain detects stagnation before you consciously do. It's not boredom, it's cognitive suffocation. You crave expansion, not repetition. And when someone stops mentally stimulating you, your attention quietly withdraws. Highly introspective people unconsciously scan for depth in conversations, not intelligence, depth. They listen for nuance, self-awareness, contradiction, growth. When none appears, the interaction feels empty. You may still smile, nod, and reply politely, but internally, you've already checked out. You don't lose interest in people. You lose interest in versions of them that never change. Your mind is future-oriented. You instinctively ask, where is this person going? If the answer feels like nowhere, attachment dissolves. Potential matters more to you than presence. Stagnation is the fastest emotional turn-off. You also notice emotional predictability very quickly. Once you can anticipate someone's reactions, the mystery dies. And without mystery, attraction, even platonic, collapses. Your brain is wired to explore the unknown. Predictable emotional patterns feel like closed loops, and closed loops kill curiosity. People who lose interest fast often grew up learning to self-entertain mentally. Books, imagination, inner dialogue became safer than people. So your internal world is richer than most external conversations. When interactions don't match that depth, they feel like a downgrade. It's not arrogance, it's contrast. Your mind simply prefers where it feels most alive. Another hidden factor is emotional independence. You don't need people to regulate your mood. That makes attachment optional, not necessary. And optional bonds are easier to release. People mistake this for coldness, but it's actually emotional self-sufficiency. You also detect emotional incongruence instantly. When someone's words don't match their behavior, your interest fades. You don't confront it, you disengage. Your mind values coherence more than charm, and inconsistency feels mentally expensive. So you quietly step back. Fast loss of interest can also come from pattern recognition. You've seen certain personality types too many times. Same insecurities, same coping mechanisms, same endings. Your brain jumps ahead to the conclusion. And once the ending is known, the story loses value. Familiarity doesn't comfort you, it bores you. You may also be highly sensitive to emotional energy. Some people drain without saying a word. Complaints, negativity, victimhood, you feel it instantly, and your nervous system pulls away to protect itself. This isn't judgment, it's regulation. Another truth, you lose interest when you sense dependency forming. The moment someone starts leaning emotionally too hard, you retreat. Not because you lack empathy, but because you value autonomy. You don't want to be someone's emotional anchor. You want mutual strength, not emotional reliance. Dependency suffocates attraction. You're also allergic to forced connection. Small talk, social scripts, fake enthusiasm. Your brain resists it. You crave organic flow, not obligation. When interaction feels performative, you shut down. It's not social anxiety. It's authenticity intolerance. Many people confuse your detachment with emotional unavailability. But the truth is the opposite. You feel deeply, just selectively. You don't invest emotionally until meaning is present, and meaning is rare. So your attention becomes rare too. You're also highly aware of emotional labor. You notice when you're carrying conversations alone, asking questions, keeping momentum alive. Once you sense imbalance, interest collapses. You want reciprocity, not responsibility. Connection shouldn't feel like work. Your mind is constantly evolving, so your standards evolve with it. People who once excited you may no longer fit. This isn't betrayal, it's growth. But growth creates distance, and distance slowly dissolves emotional interest. Even if affection remains, you may also detach when people stop challenging you mentally. Not arguing, challenging, offering new perspectives, questioning assumptions. Without friction, there's no spark. And without spark, connection fades. Stimulation fuels your interest. Another factor is emotional honesty. You value real feelings, even uncomfortable ones. When someone hides behind masks, you disengage. Surface politeness bores you. You crave psychological transparency. And when it's missing, interest drops. Sometimes you lose interest because people reveal who they truly are, and it doesn't align with your values. You don't argue or explain, you withdraw. Your silence is your boundary. You don't chase alignment, you wait for it. You're also sensitive to power dynamics. When someone seeks validation instead of connection, you feel it. Attention-seeking drains you. You want grounded presence, not approval hunger. And once you sense emotional imbalance, attraction dissolves. Subtly, quietly. You may also detach, because your intuition moves faster than logic. You feel shifts before reasons appear. By the time you can explain it, interest is gone. Others call this sudden, but internally, it was gradual. You just didn't announce it. You lose interest quickly, because your time feels valuable to you. Not in an ego sense, in a finite sense. You're aware life is short. You don't want shallow connections filling deep time. So you curate people carefully. Detachment is your filter. Another truth, you don't bond through frequency. You bond through intensity. Seeing someone often doesn't increase attachment. Meaningful moments do. Without depth, repetition kills interest. You want fewer connections, but stronger ones. Anything else feels like noise. You may also pull away when people stop surprising you emotionally. Growth is attractive to you. Stagnation feels like decay. You're drawn to those who evolve in real time. When that stops, so does your curiosity. And curiosity is your glue. You don't fear loneliness, so you don't tolerate misalignment. This makes your standards look extreme to others. But comfort with solitude gives you leverage. You'd rather be alone than poorly connected. And that choice shapes your attachments, or lack of them. At your core, you're not losing interest in people. You're losing interest in emotional redundancy. You want depth, presence, growth, honesty. Most people offer familiarity instead, and familiarity doesn't feed your mind, so you move on. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. You lose interest quickly because you're wired for meaning, not connection for connection's sake, not comfort without growth. When meaning disappears, attention follows, and you never apologize for that.